Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name's Ryan, and welcome to Developers Garage. It's been a crazy week. At least last week was. It's hard to believe the weekend's here and it's coming, it's gone. So things just did not go the way I wanted on Friday. We were going to have stream set up, and then Mother Nature rolled in. So we had some weather come through that started playing a little bit of havoc with my ISP and the power. So every now and then I get a flicker. My modems would reboot, and then for some reason my ISP then just said, you know what, I'm not going to start working. So by the end of the evening, I think we fully had all that. The weather was gone, everything was done, but there just wasn't enough time for me to stream. So I was like, you know what, let's just make it up on Monday. And this is our makeup stream, folks. Welcome to the makeup stream. So we will be looking at container. Well, we've already containerized our GarageBot. We're going to be taking that container now to Azure. So we're going to get started momentarily. It's Monday. It's hard to believe it's Monday already. Family and I decided we were going to go away for the weekend, and we went to the lake. I love going to the lake. Have a nice condo up there. Or my parents, let me rephrase it. My parents have a nice condo up there and are graciously kind enough to let us use it. And kids and wife, we just headed out Friday and after work, and then we enjoyed our weekend up there at the lake. A little bit of sun, a little bit of boating, a little bit of hanging out, and it was a good time. The problem with these fun little getaways is you get back on Sunday evening, Sunday late afternoon, Sunday evening, you got to get everything ready for Monday. All that work that you may typically do on the weekends, on Saturdays, Sunday morning, afternoon, getting clothes ready, getting things just set up, getting yourself mentally prepared for the next day. It's almost like we need an extra day. I need that third day there for the weekend so I can have that decompress from, I don't say decompress, but just get my mind back ready to get to the rat race. I don't like to say rat race. It's not the best way to put it, but just get back into the flow of things, because this morning was a little stressful, and it's never a good week to start off, never a good time to start off your week being stressed and feel like everything's out of control, and it's just Monday, and it's almost like it's a downhill from there. So take that time, mentally prepare, get everything ready, but still go out and have those good times. That's my little tidbit for today. It looks like Cortana's trying to say, "Hey, I'll get to know you better if you just talk to me." I feel weird talking to my digital assistants on my PC. I don't know why. I do it a little bit on my phone. I'm still not fully on board with my mobile devices or anything other than what do you call those things? IoT devices. Talking to those. I mean, I talk to Cortana on my Xbox. I talk to Alexa on my Echo Show and Echo Dots, and I talk to whatever the Google Assistant. I guess that's what it needs a name. She needs a name. He needs a name. Whatever you want. They need a name, and I talk to them fairly easily. It feels more natural, but just talking to my PC just feels weird. I don't know. If you're out there and if you're in the chat room, let me know what you think. I'm curious. Do you find it difficult to talk to your digital assistants? If you even use them, some people just turn them off and say, I don't want that stuff. I like playing with it. I like experimenting with it. I forgot to say good morning to the chat room. If you are watching me live stream, thank you for doing that. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day or just putting me in your ear during your workday so you can listen and learn a little bit about what we're learning about here on stream. If you're watching this on demand, I appreciate that as well. And I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you in the chat room. Here in a second, you're going to see my Twitter handle up there. Go ahead and just hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think. Comment on the topics we talk about today on Twitter. I need to get a little bit better at my community management here. I struggle with trying to find time to do all of the stuff that I like doing with streaming and then trying to get work in there and then the most important thing is getting family in there. So a lot of this stuff gets actually shifted back because I'm not willing to lose that family time. My kids are growing up, and I don't want to miss those times, and I don't want to neglect my wife. She's my support, my rock. I love you, honey. If you're watching this, thank you for all that you do, and I'm sorry for not doing what I need to do when I should do it. I'm going to be better, I promise. Make those times for family. They are some of the most important things out there. And so the community just falls to the back burner, and I apologize to you, the community, for that. I'm going to be better. I've got to figure this out. If you've got any suggestions for me, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up in this chat room. Let me know something. Check out overton.dev. It's my homepage, my little blog that I get to. Again, one of those things that falls to the back burner a lot of times, gets neglected. And so there's just a lot of stuff that need to rotate through. Let me know what you think, chat room. And thank you. If you're new to the stream, I want to welcome you. Go ahead and hit that follow button right up there, I think. I'm looking down at my monitor there to make sure I'm pointing to the right place. Look up there. Hit that follow button if you like this. Let me know that lets me know you like what I'm doing. That's one way to support me, is hitting that follow button, and you'll be able to be notified whenever I come up with new things or when we start learning about new different topics. Let you know when I've got a new video, a new stream going. Just keeps you in contact with me through Twitch. As a Twitch affiliate, I appreciate that. I know I've been following a little bit what I can. I'm still trying to catch up after being gone for a weekend. And so I think there's a little bit of kerfluffle going on in the Twitch community right now. And I'm not fully versed or understanding about what that is. But just be patient with Twitch and with the affiliates and the partners as we try and sort through this and come up with ways to alleviate whatever problem there is. Please be known that this is my stream. It's actually your stream, but I'm the one producing it. I'm not supported or promoted by anybody. These are my thoughts, my views, my opinions. And they're not necessarily the views of Twitch, my employer, or anybody else. This stream, I try to keep family friendly, supportive, learnable? No, not learnable. Just it's an open place to come and learn and talk about things that you like, you're excited about. It's not a place to bash on someone, on technology. We're technology agnostic here. Although you will see us tend to lean more towards Microsoft. That's where I'm really comfortable right now, but you're going to see me start to use different things, different areas. So containers are not a Microsoft thing, but they do support it. You're going to see me use some of the latest and greatest technologies. I'm going to be out there exploring new and different browsers. When I can get there, I want to explore new operating systems. So Linux has become a thing on Windows now, so I can start exploring Linux a little bit. Mac, hopefully Mac is going to be in there soon. Not really I don't have the hardware to support the stuff I need to do Mac streaming right now. And so that's on my future roadmap. So look forward to it. Let's whoa, excuse me. Let's get a few things set up. One thing I want to think today. Nope, it's in September. I was thinking TwitchCon had started. It has not. It's actually at the end of September. It just felt like a lot of the chatter I'm seeing that TwitchCon was happening, but it's not. It's okay. All right, so let's close that down. Let's get started. Let's get into some code now. All right, folks. So today we've got our GarageBot. You know what? We actually need to bring that project up and get it set up. One of the things I had, that's why the stream started a little bit late, was Docker was being a pain. What I found is if a Docker install fails or a Docker update fails, so a Docker desktop, let's rephrase that, a Docker desktop on Windows fails, it's very hard, at least I found, without rebooting the entire machine to get out of that. Oh wow, what just happened here? Let me unmute some audio here. can't connect to Docker engine. That's not a good thing. Oh. I got it. I'm going to go ahead and close this solution real quick. So I installed Docker Desktop, and I tried to do an update last week. The update failed midstream for whatever reason. And I'm not sure exactly what that reason was, but it failed. It uninstalled the old one and was midst of installing the new one and just got stuck. It failed, but the process was still out there. Anytime I tried to reinstall Docker Desktop, it just failed. And typically I have a lot going on my machine, so it's not that easy for me just to reboot it. And so I did that this morning. I got to a point where I could restart my machine just for this stream and got the Docker Desktop install going, and it looks like our Docker Desktop is running. So let's reload this project because we obviously need Docker. As you can see, we did not get our error, and it looks like we are ready to go. It actually brought up other things. Code Gorilla, thanks for following. I appreciate it. If you're out there in the chat room, say hey. All right, my headset is, there it goes. It's kind of weird. I have this ambient noise thing. I'd like to keep the ambient noise turned up so that way I can kind of hear myself. I need to, my setup's not the best because I would like to be able to hear myself a little bit through the headphones. That way, I don't know, it doesn't feel like I'm screaming at you. And on that note, if I am ever too loud, too soft, too quiet, or my sounds are ever too loud, too soft, too quiet, let me know. I will get everything adjusted, and we'll make sure you have a great experience here. All right. And hopefully, my streaming machine is having some struggles this morning as well, so you may see some jumps in that. I apologize. I've not been able to tune my Surface Book to where I need to be, to where it needs to be to run a smooth stream without dropping frames. I have about 5 skip frames so far in the 14 minutes I've actually been streaming. This is not the best. It's about a 53% drop rate. Not good. So, all right, so we got Docker up and running. We have our project successfully loaded. Because things happen between streams, I'm just going to rerun everything to make sure it works. Now, if you followed any of my past streams, you know, in order for me to look and see what's going on in Docker, I need to close this. Close folder. I use Visual Studio Code for my monitoring of my Docker environment. It's the best UI I've seen so far. It lets me see what's going on quickly at a glance. It allows me to easily stop machines or, containers that are running out there. And so Visual Studio spins up containers as it brings up your project. It's trying to help you out in advance and save your build and run times and shorten those by doing a lot of this stuff that it thinks you're going to want to do up front. We don't use that here. I actually go from the command line, and so I'm going to stop these containers that Visual Studio started for me. And again, I could do all this from the command line, but it's so much easier here in the, I'm going to go ahead and remove here within Visual Studio Code. It's like every time a sound happens, it turns down my ambient noise. So these Surface headphones are awesome for that because I can still hear things on the outside, but whenever sound is coming through, it turns off the ambient noise, and so there's a little flick that happens. It's kind of annoying. Death Packs, welcome to the chat. All right, so that's running. These are our containers actually from last time. And so talked about I do things from the command line. I use Windows PowerShell. I also use it in admin mode, as you can see. It wants me to try that. I've not gotten that set up to where I'm happy with it, the PowerShell core, because one of the things I like using is PoshGit. And you're going to see that is, if I can get to the right spot here, I think it's in D drive, CD space sandbox. Let's do an ls, GarageBot. So I use PoshGit. That's what you see here. it lets me know quickly at a glance what the state of my Git repo is. And as you can see here, these 3 bars tell me I am all caught up. I don't have any outstanding changes. I don't have anything I need to merge or push, anything like that. It's all good. I like to do that. I tried this in PowerShell core. This wasn't working. And so I would like to see that running before I make the switch over to the core version. Maybe it does. Oh, sorry about that. I do use a remote desktop here. It's a little big for my taste. Cody Gorilla says I use PoshGit and PS Core. So maybe I was thinking the new Windows terminal. So Cody Gorilla, that is a good thing. I'm going to check out. Actually, you know what? Let's look at it. Let's see if we have PowerShell Core installed. That's PowerPoint. It doesn't look like I have Core installed here. We'll do that. I'll put that on my list here. Let me take a little note to install PowerShell Core. All right. So hopefully next time we'll take a look at PowerShell Core, make sure PoshGit is set up and running, and we'll be all good there. So I bet it was the new Windows terminal. So one of the things I liked about the open source Windows terminal was you can have different tabs with different terminals inside of it. So you could have my command prompt for DOS. I could have my PowerShell window. I could have, I think you can have Git Bash even open in it. So I was kind of looking at that, and that's probably what I was thinking of. So I'm going to clear that, and actually I need to come back over here. So there is a command line that I don't like remembering that I need to get added to the README file for this. That allows me to run my containers, and what I'm looking for is not there. So github.com/devsgarage. If you want to help us out, you want to support us, go help out github.com/devsgarage. I'm going to put that in the chat real quick. This is where we store all of our repos. I try to keep everything up to date. This is a community stream. I accept and would love and appreciate any support, any help you can help me with on any of these repos, any of our projects. I would love the help. I can't do it all. I like doing it on stream, and that's where things tend to fall behind, is because I typically only do this stuff on stream. Code Stencil, hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining. And so Fritz Stream Tool. So Jeff Fritz, C# Fritz, if you haven't followed him, go check him out. He's a Twitch streamer. He's a program community manager for Microsoft, or community program manager. I get the title confused. He's a great streamer. He's the one that kind of encouraged me to get going. Watching his stream, watching him do all this, I was like, that's what I want to do. And so I followed him. I got things going, and it was actually his encouragement to just help me push out there. And so he's kind of somebody I follow and I like checking out. But his one project we help support actually has a little file here. Not a file, a command, which is just a basic Docker command. So we use Docker Compose. This -f says, hey, here's the files I want you to use, which is our compose file. And then here's an override file for that. The up just says, once you go through this, I want you to actually bring the containers up and running, listed in these compose files. The -d is to run detached or headless, meaning it's kind of running in the background of your terminal. And -build says you actually want to run the build command. So we are going to go ahead and redo all of that because we want to make sure the code we have in our repo right now is perfect. While that's building, Deathpack says they use Commander, but it's based on conmu. I've heard of it. I'm going to say that's about as much of my knowledge of Commander as I've heard. Now, is that run on Deathpack? Does that run on Windows, or is that a Linux-based terminal or OS X? That's kind of where my knowledge leaves out. I have heard other developers, other streamers talk about using Commander. So right here, you can see it's actually building. Things should build pretty quickly because I don't think we've made any code changes. Deathpack says Windows. Code Stencil uses Commander too. Yeah, I'm going to make a note of that. Well, we're going to take a look at Commander. As I hunt for things, I'm a technology person. Let's use our friend Notepad over here. So, all right. Our friend Notepad. And I'm doing it off screen because I don't want you to see how bad of a typist I am, at least yet. It's easy to. So we need to look at, what do we say? PowerShell core. I swear I've installed it, but it's not on this machine at least. And then we also need to look at Commander. So we're actually going to have a stream where we actually go look at these things. Because I think it's beneficial for us to just look and see what other options there are out there. So again, I said we want to be technology agnostic and using different terminals, different things to see the different experiences is a good thing. And that's one thing growing up, or I say growing up, coming up inside the developer community, at least where I'm at, I don't feel like I had a lot of that. A lot of the people I worked with did not actually try new things. They stuck with the status quo and said, you know what, this works. We're not gonna push the envelope here. I was that guy who was in there, was pushing all the new things, trying all the new things. I made some waves, some not good waves, some bad waves. But you know what? A wave is a wave. It causes you to change. And that's, in technology, that's what you have to do. You rest on your laurels, you and your business are going to go down. Deathpack says, but it can emulate any terminal. So I have it set up to be able to launch tabs with PowerShell, PoshGit, Git, Bash, and Ubuntu. Wow. So this really sounds akin to the new Windows terminal, the open source Windows terminal that I've been seeing a lot of, at least Microsoft talking about. So that's one thing. Maybe we can do a comparison. We'll look at Commander and then we'll look at Windows Terminal and see how they are, what they are. Deathpacks, I have one place. So, you do use PoshGit with it. That is awesome. That's one of my key things. I like PoshGit. I've grown accustomed to it. It's just so easy. All right. So if we look down here, so it successfully built. They're up and running. Now we're going to do a Docker. Ooh, see, there's my bad typing. Docker PS to see what we've got here. Okay, so there we go. We've actually got 2 containers up and running. This is 44371, I think, is what we want to hit. So let's come over here. https://localhost 44371. There we go. Okay, so this is it. GarageBot is simple. The web interface is simple. I need to probably make it a little bit better so it's a little more informative. GarageBot. It's actually used for playing our sounds. So the other test we've got to do here is bang list. So when I say bang, I mean exclamation point. So there we can see our bot is running. It gives me a list of things. Now, because we see everything running, it actually ran pretty seamlessly there. Let's do a celebrate because it's time to party. So, as you can see, so that allows me to play sounds, and that hopefully you heard that. If you didn't hear that, let me know, because that is supposed to be your connection to get in touch with me or to listen. All right, so that works. The bot is working. Our containers are running. They're functional. We didn't hear anything says code stencil. Well, darn it. Okay, so I did that. Help me out here, folks. Let me know if you hear this stuff here. I'm going to play a little sound, and you let me know if you hear it. Can you hear that? It looks like it's coming through. It may be really soft. Okay, so that should have come through. It also supports Powerline fonts. Nope, nothing again. Okay, I'm going to try turning this up. It's certainly possible that I actually have it too low that you can't hear it. But my setups tells me you should be hearing this. It's really disappointing if you're not. All right, let's try one thing here. Let's try another thing. All right. Hopefully I don't look, I probably look pretty crazy here dancing around to music that I'm hearing that you're not. But hopefully maybe you heard something that time. Otherwise, my setup is totally hosed for sounds, which is not good. But it's just something that I don't have to figure out. All right. Well, that's disappointing. Super quiet, barely audible. That's better. I mean, that tells me it's a volume thing. It looks like it's blaring on my screen, which I definitely don't want it to blare for you. So I'm going to try this again. Because some of it may be tied to the volume. I've got to get this audio thing figured out. I apologize for that, but it is playing sounds. And the important part is, if you ever want to get my attention, because I'm heads down, I'm coding, and I'm not paying attention to the chat room, once this is up and running, you can just do a bang alert. The bang alert is something I can hear fairly clearly inside my headset. Hopefully you can hear it as well. As you can see here, it also says there was an alert received. And then I will look up and look at the chat room and say, okay, you're actually trying to get my attention because I typoed, fat-fingered something. It happens. All right. So we got that. And I do see I am lagging quite a bit. I apologize. And that's these skip frames. I do have low latency set because it should just be jumping. And I don't think that's working right. It should be simpler to stream just to get going, get out there. But it's how complex this stuff really is. Kind of escaped me when I first got started. So please just bear with me on that. All right. So now we talked about we want to actually get going and get moving with Azure. So our bots work. We're actually out there running. And we want to actually put it out there in Azure. The reason I want to do that is because I don't want to be dependent upon my machines anymore, because they actually, resources are, at least for the stuff I use, resources are scarce. And so I don't want any of this background stuff chewing up cycles that I kind of need, especially for like streaming. So as you can see over there, there's a yellow box there on the side. There's something I have that goes there, but the fact that I have to have it running on my local machine to display what I want, it's actually going to be an agenda, kind of the stuff we're going to cover for the stream. It uses up a lot of resources, which then, again, my streaming machine right now is as bare bones as it can get to be a good, to actually give me a stream, a Twitch stream. It's clear that up, a live stream here. It takes up too much space. It takes up too many resources to run smoothly. So I keep that shut down. I keep Docker shut down. And once we get this out in the cloud, though, I can run it out there. I can use this stuff out there and not be afraid anymore. So that's what we're going to do. That's what the whole point of this is. So to get stuff off my machines, use the cloud resources. If you've not worked with Azure, go to portal.azure.com, sign up if you haven't before. You do get some amazing free resources, free benefits just for signing up. I want to say it's $150 a month, I think, of free CPU cycles or compute cycles in Azure, and use those. I use it for a lot of the testing I do, playing around. We're going to start using it here on stream. just to test things out. Because sometimes it works on my machine, it's okay, but we want to make sure it works everywhere. That's the other reason I'm using containers, is because containers is easy for me to move around and port to different cloud environments. Because now it's going to allow me to have something and go experiment with in, say, Google Cloud or Amazon Web Services or Amazon ES. I think that's what it's called. I'm not up to date on the Amazon Cloud. Deathpack says Azure DevOps stuff is fantastic. It is. So I'm a remote developer. I'm a remote lead. Everything I do is in Azure. And setting up DevOps pipelines and builds and all that kind of stuff is amazing and powerful. And as a lead, alleviates a lot of the time I have to do. It's a lot more work up front, but once it's set up, I don't have to touch it anymore. Things come in, they build, they push, we test, we promote. All is done with clicks of a button inside of Azure. And I say that it's actually just the promotion. Everything is automated once it gets to our repos inside Azure. Or you can even use GitHub or some other repositories out there not inside the Microsoft stack. And it will just use webhooks. It'll notice the changes and move all your stuff out. It'll trigger your pipelines. So it triggers that build pipeline. Once the build succeeds, tests pass, it actually then triggers a release pipeline, which then pushes that build into whatever environment you want. We push it into a dev environment, and then from there, it's a matter of myself or our QA resource hitting the ready to move to QA or the approve button to move it to the next environment. And we do that all the way through to production. It's so much of a time saver. It works with SQL servers, web servers, any server really, and containers. So let's look at that. Let's get started with containers now, because I'm wasting a lot of time chatting here and I want to get to some of this stuff. All right, so sorry, I've got a preview here. Just shows me how far behind I really am. And it's really weird seeing myself not match up. Needs to be a little bit more smooth. All right, so we're in Azure. So one of the first things I want to do is I'm going to use the container registry built into Azure. You can use GitHub. Not GitHub, Docker Hub if you want to host your containers. I'm going to host my containers out here in Azure. Now, one of the things I've not tested is, can I push a container directly from my machine into a web app for containers? Chat room, do you know about that? I don't. I've not done that. I always go into the registry and have a process usually set up to actually take that new version and push it out to my different web apps. Now, I've not done this in Azure yet. So this is something we're going to look at. So that's searching for, I want to actually create a new resource. So I come over here and you know what? I'm going to add, as you can see, I've got a few things in there I've been playing around with. And I actually need to go clean some of that up, because even if it's not running, it's using some of my my free money that I like to keep tight grips on. So here you can see, as we create a new resource, we have containers. So we can see what do we have in the Azure Marketplace for containers. So container instances, the registry, Kubernetes, DCOS. I don't know what that is. Red Hat, WordPress, some other containers. Let's look at container instances here. So pay as you go. That's typically what I do. So I have a couple different subscriptions. I actually have my company provides me an enterprise MPN. We are a Microsoft partner. I also have Visual Studio Ultimate. I have some MSDN stuff that's provided by my company. But I do have a pay-as-you-go that I use for my own personal testing, streaming, of course. A resource group. We're actually going to create a new resource group for this, and we're going to call this GarageBot RG for resource group. The benefit of creating this new resource group and hosting all my stuff in one resource group means if for whatever reason I'm done with it, let's throw it away. I want to get all those all that money back, I just delete the resource group, and then every resource underneath it is deleted with that. It's a great thing to do, but it's very powerful and can cause major headaches if you delete something unintentionally because it doesn't come back. There's no way to get it back once it's deleted. So they do have some safeguards. Say, are you sure you want to do this? I speak from experience, not because I deleted a resource group, but because a contractor we were working with said, you know what, we don't need this resource group anymore, and deleted it. Well, it had some prod resources underneath it, which probably shouldn't have been there, but they really shouldn't have been deleting the resource group either. Anyways, that created a lot of headache. Don't do it unless you're totally sure. Segregate your applications into logical resource groups. That way you know everything underneath that resource group is for a specific purpose. That's the best way to maintain this and ensure that all your stuff is kept segregated. Container name. We're going to call this, call it GarageBot. The container must only contain lowercase letters. Of course it should. And so GarageBot, that works. West US, I actually like to use West US 2. I don't know why there's two, West US and West US 2, and why a lot of people that I've seen at least use West US 2 over the other. I don't know. It's just probably another data center within the region of West US. It may be the latest one, which should have maybe the better hardware on it. I don't know. Image type, it's a public image. If I do a private, it's going to ask me for my registry stuff. So it does look like I have to actually go create a registry entry, which is what I was hoping not to do. I'd love to be able to push just from my machine all the way up, but it's not happening. That's okay. So we're not going to create this. We're actually going to come back here. Yes. And we're going to, let's go back to my dashboard. Let's go back to all resources here. I'm going to add a new one, and we're going to look up Container Registry. So we want to create a container registry here. It's pretty much that simple. Hey, I do have a Star Wars demo out there. I do from time to time. We're going to create a new one, and we're going to call this. What did I say we're going to call this? GarageBot RG. So now I'm creating up a separate registry just for GarageBot. Now, if you're a company out there and you want to do one for your company, you would make this a little bit more all-encompassing. I say the word escapes me. But we're going to use GarageBot, and as we learned last, actually, no, I think that's right. Okay, we're going to use West US 2 again. Admin user. If you're enabled, you can use the registry name as username and admin user access key as password to Docker log you into. And we're not going to do that just yet. Standard, we're actually going to use basic. Shouldn't need anything more than basic for our needs. Let's create this. Oh, what's a registry name? Container registry. We're going to call this the GarageBot. .azurecr.io. That's going to be our registry. Oh, wow, it's 11:22. We need to get going, right? I need to speed this up. So we're creating our Azure Container Registry. So that's the one thing. I probably should have had this done ahead of time and just walked you through the steps, and that way we wouldn't be waiting on this. The good thing is these typically don't take too long. I say that. It actually depends on the amount of stuff going into Azure at that time. Usually right now is not too bad because the West Coast people are just now getting into work, I find. But all of us Midwest and East Coast people, we've been up for a little while. It's actually almost lunchtime. And as it goes, we're going to go ahead and leave that. And the other thing we're going to do, so So we have our containers. So I could do we want to do a build step in? So one of the things you can do in Azure as well, you can create a pipeline where you can push up your repo, you can link to it, and you can have your containers actually built within Azure, which is, if you're doing a production ready deployment, that's the route I would go. I want all my stuff built agnostic of my machine. Because I want to save us some time here, I'm actually going to just push up the images that I have locally, and we'll use those. So there is a way to do that, and it's actually using the Azure CLI. But I've forgotten how to do some of this stuff with the Azure CLI. And let's get in here. So here's how to install. We're actually going to use this. We're going to come over here. If you've not installed the Azure CLI, it's just a way for you to work with Azure and the resources from the command line. So CLI is command line interface. The current version is 2.0. I probably don't have the most current version, but I don't want to install it. I want to use the Azure CLI. So this is how to install and run. So we can do an AZ login. So just to make sure that I have everything, we can do an AZ login. And if my hands are correctly set on the keyboard, the correct letters get typed. And so what it's going to want to do, it wants me to actually go to a web browser and open this up. It's going to do device login, which is actually something I really like, because sometimes I found from within PowerShell, logins don't always work the best, especially when you're doing Microsoft Authenticated or an authentication that requires a window to actually type in your information. And so this is actually going to allow me just to pick the one I've already got currently signed in, and then it's going to say, hey, you've done it, you're already logged in, or you're now logged in. And so here we go back here. We can see all the stuff I have access to. The different subscriptions and everything just comes in here now. So let's go back to our getting started here. So some of the different things you can do within Azure. Azure Group, Azure VM, storage account, Key Vault, all these kind of different things, web apps. We want Azure CLI containers. So I'm actually going to come back here, Azure CLI, Container Registry. This is create a private Docker registry in Azure. Let's look at this real quick. I don't think this is really what we want. We already have a group. Our registry is already created. We want to actually push an image. Azure CLI. Push container image. You ever have that times when your one hand seems to move faster than the other? I had that experience a couple of days ago that it was actually 3 times in a row I typed the exact same thing with two letters transposed. Same time every time, even though I was trying to correct it. My left hand was just running slow that day, I guess. Push Docker image to private container Azure registry. This is what we want. So here we go. ACR login. So we do need to do the ACR login now, which the ACR is Azure Container Registry. So -s name with the registry. Or it looks like you can also do Docker login. But we're going to use this now. And our registry is, anybody remember what we called that? Let's come back here. Let's take a look. GarageBot-RG. That was the, so we never created the registry. No. Oh, no. Or did we? Oh, yeah, we did. Let's go take a look. Microsoft.Container Registry. Did we just name it? That seems wrong. Oh, there it is. Registry name, GarageBot. Okay. A little bit of misinformation, Microsoft. This really should be, at least in my mind, should be at least the name of the registry. It should be much easier to see what the name of the registry is than this. Of course, this is actually probably just the deployment details. This is what it is. .commie, thank you for following. We appreciate it. If you're out in the chat room, just say hey. Let us know you're there. All right. And we call it, again, I get sidetracked every now and then, folks. I don't get sidetracked. If you ever had that instance where you walk over, you're thinking of something, and the moment you cross and go into another room, or what they say, cross a threshold, it leaves you. I don't have to leave anywhere. I just have to be distracted for a moment, and then I forget. It's kind of weird. Okay, so there's that. Resource group. That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking at here. GarageBot. Here's my resource group. Inside my resource group, GarageBot was the name of the registry. There you go, Ryan. GarageBot. Will Airways, thanks for the follow. We appreciate it. The resource with name GarageBot and type Microsoft Container Registry could not be found in the subscription. That's not. All right. So it's trying to go into a subscription that I'm not actually currently. So I have multiple subscriptions here. But it's specifically going to a different one. So I think there's actually, and so I'm going to see if I can. We're going to do a --help. See if we can't see the different command lines. So we want Azure AZ ACR login. So subscription is what we need to actually add to it now. Name or ID of the subscription. So we do have this, the name of the registry. We want to have actually --subscription, which says I want you to look into this subscription instead of what I'm guessing is what it knows my default, or is assuming my default subscription. .commie, I'm here. Lots of frames dropping. Is it just on me? It is not on your end. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. If I look at this, my stream is running hot. Me. I'm afraid it's on my end. My stream machine is not playing nice. So I apologize for that. I will upload this as I see, yes, 17 skipped frames here recently. I apologize. I truly do. Let me see if there's anything I can do. It should just be jumping, and hopefully it's actually probably my fault for not trying to reboot this machine ahead of time. We'll get it right next time. I will take this recording and I will upload it to YouTube. I've been bad about that here recently. It's going to take about a day or so for me to get it up to YouTube. But I will get it up there. I will post it to my Twitter account. Let me just tell you that in case the frame drops in the middle of me saying that. And I'm going to notify via my Twitter account. Which you can see at the top, my Twitter account. Actually, over there, my Twitter account when it's up. And that way you can see it unabridged. Because I don't edit my YouTube streams, which maybe I should, but I don't have time. It takes a lot of work. So pay as you go. So I want this ID here. Come on. Yep, there's another skip frame. Oh, this is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So we'll do a login here for this. My subscription here. So login succeeded, which is a good thing. It's what we want. Let's come back here. So that's getting started with that. Push a Docker image. So once we're logged in, wait. Create a private Docker registry. Not that one. This one. We've logged into our registry. We don't want to do that. We want to actually, this is tagging our image. This is going to tell us where we want to push it. Now, so this is what we're going to want to do is push this here. So this tagged it as that. Use Docker tag to create an alias of the image with a fully qualified path to your registry. Okay. So let's do that. It's actually, oh, I forget my Docker commands here. Docker p-help. That doesn't work. Docker-help. So we want to actually see all of our images. Docker images. I got quite a few there, don't I? Ooh. But these are the two we were actually we really want. Need to clean that up. That's a lot of extra stuff out there. GarageBot and GarageBot Web. And so we actually want to create tags for those container images. And so it is actually going to be, it's actually fairly simple, Docker tag. And this first one is going to be the image we're tagging. So let's go Docker. We're going to do just GarageBot. I actually want to add tag. And then our full registry here. So GarageBot dot Azure cr.io / so we don't need anything. We're just going to, would this use, and we're just going to call this GarageBot. So hopefully that worked. Okay, there's that one. Now we want to do GarageBot Web. Do the same thing. Now if I do a Docker images again, here we have our GarageBot. That's with our, here we have our registered versions of it. Okay, so now we can do a Docker push, which says we can push it to our registry. So let's do Docker push. And what we're doing here, this is just getting our stuff out into the container registry we created a moment ago inside the Azure portal. We're going to do not MCR, but GarageBot dot Azure cr.io / GarageBot. And so that should take our image and then push it up to Azure. And so this is, the good thing is it's working. As you can see here, it's actually pushing everything up to our container registry. And it does take it a little bit minute. The nice thing is we're using some small images here, which makes it much faster to push things up in. If you end up using full Windows images, which you can do as some of your base images, they're very big. They're very bloated. And so my suggestion for creating Azure or container images is to create using the very base you can and build it up from there. trying to take the biggest one and just to make sure it works, that's fine. But always go back and start at the lowest level you can and build up from there. It's much smaller package that way and get you a much faster and better result. Smaller too in the end. Usema7, if I pronounce that right. Thank you for following. If I didn't get it right, let me know. I want to make sure I pronounce those things correctly. Say hey in the chat room. Let us all know you're there. We do appreciate you joining today. So we just push up GarageBot. Let's do GarageBot Web next. And then we'll go look at everything inside our actual Azure Container Registry. So again, whoa. Oh, hey. That's because it's GarageBot. It's a registry. GarageBot Web is the container we're pushing. There we go. All right. So it's pushing some of that. The nice thing is it's going to, if you have some similar pieces of your image, it's not going to re-push those. It's going to use the same pieces you pushed up with a previous one. Same hashes here. As you can see, we probably have some similar hashes. Yes. So yeah, we have some similar hashes here. And you can say it's mounted from GarageBot, which means it's not going to duplicate things that you don't need. It's not going to bloat your registry with duplicate code, per se. And it's going to keep things as small and as tight as possible and reuse as much as possible. And so there we go. So now we're pushed up. So now if we come back here and we actually go to our container registry. So we pull this up. I don't think repository. Yep, there we go, repository. So we have GarageBot, which is we only have one. It's the latest, and we have GarageBot Web. So we have two containers out there running. So let's kick this back over. Now we can go actually create the hosts of our containers. And so one of the first things we do, because GarageBot, the actual bot, requires us to have the web project running, we're going to start with that first. So I'm going to come over here I'm going to go back to all resources. That's because where I typically, you know what, I'm actually not. I'm going to go to resource groups. I like filtering things down so I can see what I'm interested in and not get overwhelmed by all that. So GarageBot-RG. So I'm going to start from within my resource group and I'm going to add something. And what I'm going to add is a web app for containers. There we go, Ryan. There we go. Web app. There it was. Again, my hand's failing me. So we're going to do web app for containers. And we're going to create our web app for containers. We're going to use pay-as-you-go still. That's the sub I want to use, GarageBot. Our web app name, we're just going to use GarageBot Web. .azurewebsites.net. It is going to be a Docker image. It's interesting that it showed. Oh, I guess it is a container. Come on, Ryan. Think. Yeah. I couldn't figure for a second why it said Docker image. I thought, oh, wow, it's smart. It's reading my mind. But it kind of is because I chose a containers web app and not just a regular web app. So if you want to know if you're going to use Linux or Windows, I think we're using Linux. We'll find out pretty quick if we're not because it won't work. I should probably go check that out. I do want to change this here. I want to go back. I want to use West US 2 still. A Linux service plan. I'm going to have to create, so I have to create a specific app service plan. So, unfortunately, you can't use a consumption plan with containers. Is that right? I don't think you can use a consumption plan. I think you have to choose. And I like to use the base I can. We're using dev and test F1 here. So we want free. So, again, frugal is the right word, is the appropriate word to say. I typically say cheap. I'm cheap. I like to use the free stuff as much as I can. So it's creating a new Linux plan, Azure service plan, GarageBot resource group. I wish it would let me pick the name. I guess I could create my new service plan, but my own service plan, then choose it, but we're not going to. So next it wants to say, hey, let's go choose Docker. We don't want to use Docker. I don't want to use this. And come on, there we go. Azure Container Registry. There's the registry I want. Cannot perform operation for subscription. Is disabled. Kindly enable Azure users per dot. Well, at least that's nice of them to tell me why it's not working. But now I need to go fix that, which means I'm going to have to start this process over, but that's okay. And so what it's saying for my container registry, I need to have an admin user. Yep, I know that. Let's go back here. Let's go to our container registry, and we're going to enable admin user so I can create something from it. And let's figure out, hopefully it's easy to do. Access keys, enable admin user. Thanks for doing that, Azure. You need to hide these by default. Because now all that passwords, and we're actually going to, I'm going to go to full screen here. And then we will actually recreate these passwords because, yes, I want all these to be redone because you didn't tell me you were going to do this, and it put my password out there to the world. And we're going to redo it one more time just to make sure. Oh, I don't like that password either. We're going to regen that one to a new one. There we go. That's better. Okay, that's up. Read new passwords that the world does not know. Azure, you've been better about hiding these kind of things from us and making us show that. Passwords are one of those things you should always hide. And be a specific, explicit show me command. All right, so let's get out of that resource group. Let's go back. Let's get back to code here. Oh. And let's get back to our web app for containers. Web app. Web app for containers. Create. Try this one more time. Change this down. If you're testing out, make sure you go to this dev test workflow and choose free. If this becomes a hit, I like it and it's working great, and I need a little more juice, I'll bump it up. I'll pay for it. $14 a month. It's not terrible. It is a little bit more change that I'm willing to put in right now. But for testing, we're going to use free. 60 minutes a day per compute. I don't know that we'll reach that, but we may need to bump that up if I start running over on time here. So let's go next. Actually, let's go previous here. GarageBot. Web app name. We do need a web app name. GarageBot Web. Docker image, Linux. Put all this back to West US 2. What? Come back here. Choose free. Apply free, folks. I want free. There we go. Next, we're going to use our container registry here. There's our GarageBot registry. We're going to choose our container image for the web, and we're going to do the latest tag. Startup command, we don't need one right now. So an optional startup script or command that will be run as part of application startup. We don't have that. We don't need that. Don't need any tags. We're just going to go to review and create. And we're going to hit create. So it's going to create the deployment. It's going to submit the deployment. As you can see here, this is new for me. I don't remember it going to this deployment page. Normally it goes back to my dashboard or something, or leaves me there, and I've not seen it do this. So this must be some of the updates that they do in Azure. All right. 1147. Okay, so it's deploying right now. So one of the things it's going to do, it's going to, When streaming happens, my mind goes to mush. So what's doing is creating the resources you need, spinning them up, allocating, that's the word I was looking for, allocating the resources that your specific instance needs. So it's creating a, so there you go. You can see it's actually created the resource here in their web server farms, isolating it, it's sandboxed, and pushing it out there because we are sharing. So let's go to our resource. One thing I didn't do is because there is some configuration. Wow, I've not seen Azure Overview go to night file. That's a new one. I'm not sure what's up with that. And the only thing I can think of is something failed. Click here to upgrade to a higher SKU. This is some information here. There are some settings. So if we go back to our project here, we do have a couple of web settings we'd put in here. And one of these is the hub we want to use. And so this is actually going to be a little bit different for our environment. And I think we actually need to put ports in there as well. Don't want to. I'll fix those. I'll actually probably take this down so you don't see that information there. Yeah, Ryan. It's just one of those days, folks. It's okay. It's okay. And so this is actually going to be what we set up as our web. It's going to be GarageBot web.azurewebsites.net. And so we use, I'm stuck in Azure Container Registry mode now and can't think of, we use SignalR. So we use SignalR to actually do some talking, communication back and forth between the bot and the website, which is why the website needs to be up, because it's hosting the hub. And so this is what we're pointing to here. This is our hub we're creating. So we say, oh, I need the actual value here. That's what we need. And we're going to say, I always make the, I don't want it to be a deployment with the slot setting. Even though we're not using slots, I don't want it to be one. I like it. I think it's a, I think it's kind of one of those it's not a catch-22. Using slots is great. It allows you to quickly switch over your environments and defer that. It's not defer. You can actually quickly spin up your application. I say quickly. Allows you to defer that spin up time to the other slot, your non-production slot. Lets you spin up your application. Make sure, okay, my hands are not there. Let you spin up that application in your non-production slot, say a pre-prod slot. Take that spin up time that it typically needs. Let you do a little bit of smoke tests on that pre-prod slot. And when you're satisfied that everything's up and running, you can do the deployment slot swap, which allows you to immediately just start pointing traffic to that new slot that's already up. It's ready to go. You're not waiting for it to be deployed and then spun up, start up. All that time that you normally do, that startup normally takes, is now done in a pre-prod slot. It's a much more seamless transition from new and old versions. It works really well. Because the nice thing is, if you actually have existing traffic going to the old slot, it actually is going to maintain that until it's done, and then it will be switched over to the new prod slot. So it's very nice what I've seen, what I've used. All right, so we've got that. I do think we need ports. I do want to, let's come look at this docs again. That's running locally still. You want to run from within a web app. So I'm pretty sure I had to put ports in my last time. Let's actually get this up and running. Let's go and see if that's actually working. You can too out there. So we can go to GarageBot web.azurewebsites.net. And we'll see, does it actually work? Are we actually is our container actually up and running out there, and it's able to accept traffic at that point, which is where we got to get to. And it's probably going to end up where we stop for today. Application error. If you're the application administrator, you can access the diagnostic resources. Awesome. Not really. Let's try a secure. Same thing, application error, which means it had trouble starting up. Let's come back over here. Let's go to this overview. So this is concerning. Something has not worked correctly inside our container web app. And I'm not actually... Basically, this overview component crashed on us. Let's go to activity log to see if we actually see something. There's updating the website. Sometimes you'll see some things in here. The other thing could be is this is actually not a Linux container. This is actually a Windows container. Container settings, which would be a reason why this may not work. Error in retrieving logs. That's not a good thing. GarageBot web. Let's look at configuration again real quick. I don't have any connection strings. Environment, ASP core URLs. I don't think we're actually using this. If you're still with me in the chat room, I appreciate you. If you have any thoughts on what I can do here, other than just recreate this as a Windows-based, I guess, Ryan, you could go actually look at the container. One of the easiest ways for me to tell is I can actually go look at what Docker I'm running. So switch to Linux. So it is a Windows container. So that is where you screwed up, Ryan. You created a Linux container and tried to put a Windows container in it. Yeah, I don't think there is a way to actually switch this to a Linux container or a Windows container. And that's probably why this is failing. That's okay. That is okay. Let's go to resource groups here. Going down to our GarageBot resource group. We're actually going to delete this. Not the registry. We're going to delete the web because it was created incorrectly by me. This is where they've done a really good job in my mind of ensuring that you really want to do what you're doing. It's saying, okay, type this to ensure that you want to delete this, which should trigger you to go over and say, do I really want to delete this in your mind? And I do, but this actually wants me to type yes. Some of them, they have you type the resource group name, the resource name. Some of them, it's just type yes. So this one's not quite as good, but it's better than a simple click because you do have to go through the process of thinking and typing and then clicking. So getting click happy and just clicking through everything and all of a sudden doing something you didn't really want, less likely to happen, but still not foolproof. So create a new web app for containers. This one's going to be, so there, we're going to call this GarageBot Web. It is a Docker, it is a Windows. And so evidently we can only use West US, which is fine. Change this again. Back to free. Windows containers are built at 50%. Ooh, that's nice. 50% off. I'm okay with that, but this needs to, I don't want that. I want this one. Okay, thank you for that. Dev tiers are not available for configuration and are only available to plans that are not hosted within an Azure, within an app service environment. Well, that's not nice. Oh, I'm sorry. Even at 50% off, I am not going to pay that. We're going to have to do this a different way. We're going to have to maybe choose a different provider. Or maybe we'll go back and rebuild, see if we can't build our containers as Linux containers. That may be our better bet. That way we can run in a free environment. But as of right now, as a personal test for me, I can't afford that. It's a lot of money just to test and make sure this thing works. Again, if you can't read that, $141.81. Let's zoom that in there for the folks there. $141.81. Yeah, sorry. Because are only available to plans that are hosted within an ASE, an app service environment. But wait a second here. We are in an ASE, aren't we? So that's saying it wants to use that app service plan. Oh, no, we're not using an ASE. That's an ASP. App service environment versus app service plan. And unfortunately, Windows, they want too much for it. And so we're not going to do that. And unfortunately, that's where we're going to end today. One of my goals to not take up your time is to go and test this switch over real quick and see, can we build in a Linux image, get it to work right, get everything to work as we want, as expected, inside a Linux container, and then we can come to Azure. The other thing is, maybe I'll go check out Google Cloud or Amazon and see if they will allow us to more cost effectively host our containers for testing purposes and for my streaming purposes here. So let's come here, there. Folks, again, I am sorry. My frame rate, oh my gosh, my frame rate is so bad. If you've stuck with me, thank you so much. It looks like I have a few viewers still out there. Hopefully you are not getting bogged down by all this. You're still able to keep up with me during all these frame drops. I'm going to take my streaming machine and we're going to do a little cleaning, defragging. We're going to try and make it a little bit better, a little bit leaner. That way streaming is hopefully a little bit smoother. It's crazy. Sometimes I have great days and sometimes I have really bad days like today. And I'm sorry that you, the viewer, had to go through it. Again, follow me on Twitter. Go to overton.dev. It's got access. It's got a link to all my accounts. And I will be posting when I get this to YouTube because I think this is very beneficial for you. It gave you a kind of a walkthrough of using the Azure CLI, taking the container images, pushing it to the registry in Microsoft, Azure Container Registry, as well as getting started creating our web apps, as well as some of the troubles we've run into. So again, tomorrow, Tuesday afternoon, I will be deploying this, pushing this to the YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. I got to get ready for a meeting. See ya.